Hey, welcome back to Geocaching World. I'm Dave Dufour, and with me is Andy Head Hard Hat Smith, and we are talking about nighttime geocaching. It's a lot of fun. There are, maybe a couple of safety things that a number of safety things that you have to think about. The thing that kind of triggered this concept or this idea of needing to talk a little bit about safety for me was this little piece of video that you sent me earlier today, Andy, and it was where you and some other geocachers were doing a nighttime, I think a numbers run, and you were around a guardrail. So take a look at this.
I got 19 feet.
I got 7. Dang, that's right.
Here, you film. It's recording. Watch your fingers.
I can't see.
Okay. I still saw.
Here's the thing.
I hear it. Yeah. Good job.
So looking at that video, Andy, the thing that struck me immediately was hearing all that traffic going by, and the fact that you're not really exposed out there that much, as badly as it might seem, but it is a little bit perhaps disorienting, and you really got to be careful.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, especially if you're taking smaller children with you, make sure you always have, one eye on the geocache, one eye on the guardrail, and one eye on the children. It's important to make sure that everybody stays as safe as possible. You hear those cars whizzing by. That's what a lot of geocachers go through each and every day. The idea is to stay as safe as possible, and if you don't have as much guardrail out there, that you make sure that the drivers can actually see that you're there.
Right. Now, what about stuff like, this is almost like when you take your kids trick-or-treating, because you have to, at least tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's a lot like that, and maybe reflective clothing or things like that might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely. Anytime you're out at night, you want to use exactly like you said, that Halloween mentality, where you want to make sure that there's some form of reflective clothing on you, that no matter at what angle, if light's going to hit you, people are going to see that you're there. And on the other hand, you have to be just that much more careful that you don't trip or accidentally stumble and get yourself into a situation you don't want to be in.
Right. And, of course, one of the things, I think we've talked about these before. I know we've talked about them off camera, but there are some things that, little flashers that you can get that bicyclists like to use. They even use those during the day, but they are things that, you put them on an armband or on a hat or whatever, and they have a flashing LED reflector, highly, very bright LED kind of thing on there. And that seems like that's a pretty good idea too, because the flashing gains some attention as well.
Yeah, if you remember, I don't know if it's as popular now as it was years in the past, where you had the kids had the tennis shoes that if they walked, the LEDs lit up. It's kind of that idea. The idea is that you've got these points of light that isn't going to be distracting to drivers or people that are around you, and yet it lights up enough to be noticed.
Yeah, it probably isn't a great idea to bicycle and geocache at night, though. You could. It's okay during the day, but day at night might not be so great. The other thing that I think that kind of came up, and someone in the chat room here, this is how much fun this chat room is, because we get all kinds of great stuff here. One person commented that they're always running into wasps and this is, you can do that in the daytime or the nighttime, but in these especially in the guardrail caches, they're always running into wasps. But you also get kind of some creatures are more nocturnal, and especially with wasps, they kind of go to sleep when it gets cool at night, but if you roust them, you're in trouble.
Absolutely, and I've actually had a couple of times where I've reached in and grabbed onto one of those wasp nests, and fortunately I didn't get stung, but I've known other geocachers that they do. And you're right, at night things tend to cool down. The spiders tend to want to have a nice, quiet, dry place to sleep the night. The wasps want to get back to their nests. All sorts of critters call those, especially with those lamppost hides. They call those skirt areas home.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, especially, well, yeah, it's a good place to hide. And it's very well protected, so that tends to work out real well for them. They might like your geocache more than you do.
Sometimes, and that's why you really, really have to be careful. And the poke it with the stick mentality, needs to be enforced just that much more at night.
Right, and we talked about Chris. There's another. It isn't really a danger, but it's something you may attract more attention from law enforcement at night. Is that correct?
Absolutely, especially if you're doing urban type caches. Some of those caches that are in neighborhoods. Sometimes at night, I just bypass those completely. It's just not worth the extra potential grief. If you're walking around, the police are going to stop and ask, "Hey, what are you doing?" That's where those pamphlets come really in handy for that. You can get those pamphlets right off my blog and print them off all you want. Carry them with you, so when the police do come up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" You say geocaching. You hand them a pamphlet. It kind of gives that material verification that you're not just making this up, that you're actually playing a game, so that they can go, "Oh, okay," and go from there. A lot of law enforcement do know what geocaching is, but you never want to take that chance. You always want to be prepared to give people information where you need it.
That's right. Well, it gives a certain sense of legitimacy. If you have something that's printed out and you've actually prepared for the possibility, I mean, usually people who are up to no good aren't prepped for having printed matter to explain their presence. So that
I don't think
pretty much
breaking
kills
and
it.
entering pamphlets out there, but even if it is, I don't think the police are going to want that.
No, and you get those pamphlets. I mean, just we said before, if you just Google Head Hard Hat, you'll find the website, or at geosnippets.com, and he's got those. You got the pamphlets there, right? Or no, you're not at your blog.
Yep.
You said, yeah.
On my blog, if you find mine, I'm not obsessed, right? You find my blog for that. Just Google Head Hard Hat. On the right-hand side, it has printing pamphlets.
Yeah, one of the persons in the chat room says he just keeps geocaching info cards with me. Is that different than what you're talking about?
Nope, actually, those will work just as good, and you can keep them in your wallet as well, or in your backpack. It's just another form of legitimacy, giving a brief description about what geocaching is. So if you do find a muggle who's interested in learning about geocaching, or somebody that's more in the law enforcement arena, good to have.
Yeah, that's true. And you would think police probably are more likely to have an idea of what you're doing once you explain it. They've probably seen it before. I was just noticing here, we were talking about the flashers, and someone in the chat room just commented that they put them, like we were talking about, they put those flashers on their dog. So if you're with a pet, I think that's a good thing to think about too. If you got a dog with you, put something reflective or flashy on them as well, because it's their safety as well.
They actually have full-blown vests that are reflective. People use it during hunting season as well for your pets, and definitely when you go geocaching and geocaching at night.
Now let me ask you. Now this is come under the heading of one of Dave's dumb newbie questions. If you're wearing all this flashy stuff and the bright vests, does it really sort of affect your eyesight to the point where your pupils are all squinched down because of bright stuff that you really can't see the surrounding area? Does that pose any kind of a danger?
Well, if you're wearing one of those LED hats or those glasses we talked about before, the glasses might give you a little bit of an issue. The hat, a lot of times when you go geocaching, and again, it depends on the terrain you're walking in at the time and the potential dangers of stepping in to something that you don't want to. You don't always have them on. You kind of flick them on and off as you walk along. Right. So no, it doesn't affect you too much. And usually, if you're going to look for a geocache, you're using a flashlight anyways. Right. Yeah, and it's directed away from you. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to come right back with more about nighttime geocaching and the Geek of the Week competition. All right.
coming up just right in just a minute.
Got a question or a comment about geocaching? Send it to geocache@rvnn.tv or leave us a voicemail at 877-578-RVNN, extension 714. Tell us about a cache you especially enjoyed finding, and we may feature it in an upcoming episode. Follow RV Newsnet on Facebook and Twitter, and you can receive text messages to alert you when we're streaming live by texting RVNN to 72727. That way, you can join us live in the chat room, ask questions, and become part of the RV Newsnet family. Remember, any photos or other material submitted to us become the property of RV Newsnet and cannot be returned. For more TV like this from the world of RVs, head to rvnn.tv.